Last year, we started going overseas with looking at some Merlin's claims, so this year, let's look at some smaller players over there, and most of these parks you've probably heard of. So get ready, here we go. I'm Lindsay, you're watching History and Leisure. Be sure to follow on Instagram, Threads, Bluesky, History_Leisure, as well as a Substack and my second channel, History and Leisure Echoes, where I post copyright-free footage and bonus material. So it's been a while familiar. Let's start with a park you probably never heard of, since they own this park, but it doesn't have any coasters. France Miniatures, it's kind of like a miniature Wonderland type thing. It's like right next to a major bus stop at a roundabout. Kind of a walk from that, but there's a lot of bus routes there. And there's major station on the Transylvanian coast, but I think lines N and U. One branch, I think, terminates and the other one continues a bit further, probably out of the Ile-de-France. So pretty strong showing of like being a very significant station out there. Pretty exurban to Paris, which says the Transylvania, which is basically the Ile-de-France version of the TER of the other regions. But there's other parks in the region. Going downtown to Jardin d'Acclimatation, they've recently done a rotating of a few of their kiddie coasters. Not as much coverage there, but obviously you have all the metro and stuff right there. And also has a little kind of include that connects to a whole other side of the city park that it's in. And it's technically a stop away from Nouvelle Port Maléo. A bit more northerly to the exurbs of the Ile-de-France is Parc Asterix. While there is no public bus connection, although I think nice to have one from the RERD that loops around the resort. The park is an inner-city bus hub. It's right off the highway. Like, there's nothing else at that interchange except for just access to the resort, which Ozeru is the main one. You can go to Beauvais Airport from there, and that's the very low-cost, very exurban airport. And then there's also Baba Black Car Sign. That's the inner-city service. That's the inner-city operator I've used on the Marseille-Nice airport corridor for my stop in Cannes back in 2022. Being a Parc Asterix, that is their plan to retheme the Belantis theme park on the edge of Leipzig. Now there is apparently it's seasonal to 105 connecting the park to Markelberg. I think in some apparently continues around express to the other side of the lake there. And then there's a section on the other side, but it has this schedule that makes no sense. Like, it has like a morning loop in one way, then it's lunchtime does a loop, then there's like a little extra extended break there, and then it continues like 5 or 6 o'clock. It's like it just stays within like that little town on the other side there. So I'm like very confused about what it's used for. There's maybe some industrial stuff, but it looks to be mostly residential closer to the park. There might be a bit more out of Gashwitz, which is the closer station, but where the highway works, I guess it's better to use Markelberg, but that's all S-Bahn. Other side of the river, I think that is under construction right now, so it isn't really a good gauge. Let's continue to the Walibi Trio. The main reason that we're talking about Companie des Alpes to begin with is Walibi, Belgium. There's 3 buses out of the train station, which peripherally don't really get a one-seat ride from downtown, but there are a few intercity routes. Maybe in the summer they stop there, but I think most are probably going to stop at either wherever one of the stops above that or at Otigny, which is the main connection. That would be the main line. And then Walibi, Holland. Most of the year, it looks like they don't even have a bus route, but I think it is Route 247, and that must be seasonal, I guess, and it does connect to a train station, and that land was all reclaimed. That is all. I think it was like maybe post World War II. What the fuck, man? Rhone-Alpes, the only park on this list I've actually been to, and I do not feel I've been mentioned in the last video is that they technically operate a shuttle from Lyon and La Tour du Pin station, but all those stations are. Before I even think there even might be a plan for a new station of Réseau for the TGV line to Turin, although technically it's just going to be a higher speed bypass of the local route to Chambray, and then mostly following the local route through to Turin with only freight getting a true bypass. So yeah, it is kind of in the middle of nowhere, but you do have nice views of the Alps from there, and it will be renamed Walibi France in 2029. Back to Belgium for Bellewarde, very close to Lille, but there is no direct rail connection from them. I think it would be possible to restore one. Do have decent bus hubs at both the one at town that's name, but also those two buses, one's like a local and the other one I guess is a seasonal express. Connect it to another town called Mannen, but Ultra goes through there. I think that's Kortrijk that it would be connecting through. But Lille is the major city. You have the connection to Eurostar, right from the UK. Then Futuroscope, another park with a dedicated train station, this time in France. And it only gets two bus routes, but all the trains that pass by there will stop out of the park. There is actually a legit town across the street, basically, probably a mile or two away. But in the parks, I guess it has some use for those people as well. But I think there's mostly, I think there's a few big rides there, and I think it was mostly just a lot of like theaters and stuff before. So showing how this park that they've built kind of became a pretty soft destination out of nowhere. And then finally, kind of ending on a sour note, is Familypark in Austria. Before Belantis, this was their newest acquisition. And there was a former mining spur that ended nearby the park. And obviously being very close to Vienna, it's also very close to Bratislava. It's in the middle of nowhere, but the station is within 5 months. Things might change a bit late in a few years' time as there is plans for a new airport from its line to another line that could easily connect back to branch line. The story continues into the spring, history, leisure, and future of this chain. So stay with me for what I talk about on here. Until then, comment, subscribe, and strike the bell.